Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 45. Coming to you from the desolate wasteland of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're recording on the 5th of May, and I am your host, Elric Edge. With me is...
I'm your host, Bill Costello. And it's Cinco de Mayo.
It is indeed.
So
Mexican Independence Day.
Is that what it is?
God, a number of people out here who believe that. Good stuff.
Okay.
So, some things we want to do right up here at the top in the intro. Thank our Patreon supporters.
We certainly do. Since we started the Patreon page, we've had quite the response, more than I ever would have thought. It's awesome. I sent out an email to all of our patrons and asking if it was okay to mention their names. I've only gotten a few responses so far, but for today, we'd like to send a special shout out to James Rosa, who is, I think, our first patron. Steve Foote, also Hayden Ford is our newest patron, and he actually has posed a question that we're going to answer today.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. We also have, some guy representing We Are the Neon.
Uh-oh.
I guess he glows at night or something. Aaron Bastian. And also we have Doug Griggs, who runs the 2+ Tough YouTube channel.
Oh, nice.
And I just want to throw a shout out to his YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to it and you play AOS, you probably should subscribe to it because he does great hobby videos, but he's also started doing lore videos where he's kind of going into the lore of different aspects of AOS, and he does all kinds of different things. So you're not just going to get a constant stream of death lore or Beast Claw Raiders. He just picks a topic and covers it pretty well. So if you're kind of like me, where you're not super steeped in fantasy, the world and the history and all that stuff, you can pick up a lot from those videos. So definitely take a look at those. They're fun.
So we also have a little entry here for listen notes. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
There's a website out there called Listen, and I'll have a link to it in the show notes, but it's www.listennotes.com. What it is this is a podcast aggregator site. It's not so much of a podcatcher, so, it's not going to stream out to your devices and what have you, but what it does is it groups podcasts together. So if you're searching for, say, podcasts that have to do with Age of Sigmar and you're tired of listening to us, you can just put in Age of Sigmar, and it's going to show you a whole bunch of Age of Sigmar podcasts that you can then pick and choose to subscribe to. So it's really kind of a neat little aggregator site. So if you're into, basket weaving, you would put that in there and bam, you'd get a whole list of podcasts that give you that kind of information. So it's kind of cool. I think it's a neat site.
And we're also on Spotify.
Yes, we are. We got approved a few weeks back, and so if you're a regular Spotify user, you can find us on Rolling Bad Podcast.
Other things we're going to talk about, we'll go through our normal bits.
We have a pretty weighty New Dawn section.
Yeah, a lot of stuff coming out for everything.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about Randy Fest. We'll call that.
Yes.
Notice what you put it as in the show notes. Talk about how that went. And for our Realm of Lore, we're going to talk about AOS 2.0 or whatever. Whether it's going to be 2nd edition Age of Sigmar,
right,
Age of Nagash, whether it's just going to be a General's Handbook that
has changes.
Yeah, massive changes, whatever the next iteration that's going to be coming out here in the next few months. Kind of our hopes and dreams and thoughts on it. So,
yeah, and take it with a grain of salt because we know nothing.
Yeah, we don't know other than big changes are coming.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean that's so much is out there. So
yeah, but let's get into it.
All right.
The Realm of the New Dawn, where we're going to talk about all the crazy stuff that's been coming out or will be coming out. So we're going to start it off with some of the side games. There's some stuff coming out for Blood Bowl, a new team,
yeah,
and a new Spike magazine.
Yeah, Spike magazine. They're actually releasing that through the same thing as White Dwarf, so you can get it on iBooks.
Oh, cool!
You can get it electronically. I'm sure they'll have a print copy as well.
Okay. and a new chaos pitch.
Yeah, those are up for order in July. They have a picture of them in the White Dwarf. They're gorgeous. I mean, they are cool looking.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and of course the Doom Lords that are out today are a chaos team, so they look cool.
Right on. Yeah, Blood Bowl's not my not my jam.
It really isn't mine either, but just to see it being supported so well,
yeah,
awesome.
It's a super popular game.
Yeah,
so
by far, yeah.
That is pretty cool. The Necromunda, the new gang, the Bansar. I haven't really looked at these guys.
They look cool as well. All of them have looked amazing.
They are fantastic kids.
Yeah, and the Gang War 3 book, I believe that dropped today also. And another game that they're supporting. It's awesome. Yeah. It's just great to see that.
One of these days, we'll try Necromunda. Yeah. In the video game world, we got an announcement for Adepticus Titan. Wow.
Yeah, I told you autocorrect really. Adeptus Titanicus Dominus.
Yeah.
Game. It's live on Steam now. The early release is up on Steam now.
Oh, you can play it?
Yeah.
Okay, because I saw Chapter Master Valric did a bit on it, and it looked like it was still, like he got a special demo.
Yeah, well, it's in early release, so the only things available right now are like a one player scenario stuff, and a 1v1 sort of thing. It's not the full game.
Okay.
So, but you can, if you're super interested in pushing Titans around.
Yeah, it looks like it's the virtual adaptation of the old tabletop game.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Oh yeah. I'm planning on tonight or tomorrow doing the early for that one and going,
nice.
Yay!
See, over in 40K news, we got the Deathwatch Codex is up for pre-order today. Yep. Will drop next week. And then the Harlequin book will go up on pre-order the week after that.
Yeah.
So very cool. They've started previewing a bunch of the Deathwatch stuff.
Oh, the models have you seen the models?
No, I haven't seen the models, but I saw the rules and wow. Yeah, very cool stuff.
I just switched to Deathwatch.
Yeah. Yeah, you only need like 10 models.
Yeah.
You thought Adeptus Custodes were a small army.
Yeah.
A new terrain kit, the Eldari Webway Gate, which is massive. It's taller. It's two pieces. Both pieces are taller than the Wraith Knight.
The Wraith Knight. Yeah.
So they're, I don't know, like almost 2 feet tall, something like that.
I mean,
probably like 20 inches tall.
They're close to, I mean, they got to be huge.
And I think it's only like $40, $40.
Not, well, when you look at it, it's not that much plastic, really.
Yeah.
Because they're very spindly, but boy, I can just imagine what people are going to do with those. I'm looking at them those are going to make some very interesting realm gates. You know,
yeah, definitely
for those large realm gates, you know, like 8 points and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that aren't small.
So you can get star drakes and stuff. Through. Yeah,
exactly. So I can just imagine what some talented people are going to do.
Wonder what Archeon would look like underneath. One of those is all painted up in flames and got 8-point stars and top knots on it because that's what Chaos do. Well,
and don't forget skulls.
Yeah. Well, it's just really cool because for the longest time, the only terrain we ever got in 40K was Imperial stuff. Yeah. And for the longest time, people were saying, like, it'd be very cool to get Xenos, the other terrain for the other races. Yeah. So we got the Tidewall Rampart for the Tau it was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Which was cool. That was like the first major step.
Yeah.
I know there's like been little orc spatterings here and there. But so this is very cool to see that we're going to keep getting more diverse.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did the other Eldar kits that they've now split up into little kits, you know, with the Eldar Forest and the Death World Forest, which is sort of really super Eldar-y. So, I mean, they're actually branching out, and I know it's been a complaint for as long as I've been in this game that they never do anything for the Xenos. They never do anything for anything but the Imperium.
Yeah.
And to see now that they are willing to do that, that's cool.
Yeah, very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
So the new White Dwarf dropped.
Wow.
I have not looked through it, but you have.
Oh, yeah.
So why don't you run us through some of the tasty bits?
So the May White Dwarf takes me back to when every issue of White Dwarf was better than the last.
Nice.
This one is amazing. It starts out with, well, it doesn't start out with, but in no particular order in it, they have a heavy metal masterclass on painting markings on beasts. It ties in with the Idoneth Deepkin release. How do you paint the sea creatures? But they also have the Seraphon stuff in there. Anything that has a beast in it, they show how to do really cool effects. And really, it's blown out into a bunch of pages. It's not make a line here and then fill it in. No, it's how to really make it look like we make it look on the heavy metal stuff.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's a great long article. There's 2 fantastic battle reports in there. There's Tau versus Space Marines, which I enjoyed that battle report just because the Space Marines won. Nothing personal against Tau people, but...
Everything personal against Tau.
Okay, sure. Yeah. I still have those feelings. And then they also do a Nagash versus Idoneth Deepkin battle report. It's awesome. One of the neat things they do in the battle report, the Tau Space Marine one, is they put this huge piece of, looks like foam core, right down the center of the board, so they can't see each other's setup.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So you actually have a blind setup, which I think is really cool, and then they flip the board out, and both of them go, oh, no.
Yeah. We did that for a tournament. Here years ago, we hung up rope from the ceiling.
Oh, nice.
And hung sheets down and then ran them right across the middle of the table so that everybody setting up for the event couldn't see how their opponent was deploying.
Nice.
Yeah. It was a pain in the but it was super cool.
Sure, but I mean, it adds that whole, it's another dimension to it.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
They have a game. They have a full game in this White Dwarf. It's called Duels of the Crystal Labyrinth. You need some Chaos Sorcerers and some dice, but they print the rules, the everything you need. The board is the back of the magazine. So it's really cool. I don't know how it plays. I think it just looks smashing. And it goes back to those days when they would release, just White Dwarf games that were crazy.
Yeah.
Little one-off. Hey, here, have some fun.
Nice.
They have, for Necromunda, they have the Venator Band. So the Venator bands, if you don't know, are like when mercenaries get together.
Okay.
And instead of working for a particular house, they just band together to take somebody out, take one of the house gangs out.
Oh, nice.
So you can play all the mercenaries with rules that make it work. So that's kind of cool. And those are free in there. Those are official rules. The Paint Splatter article goes, oh my gosh, it covers like everything that's coming out. It has stuff for the Von Saar, stuff for the Idoneth Deepkin. There's a ton, and it's like 6, 7, 8 pages of paint splatter.
Oh, wow.
And again, it's that more detailed paint splatter than, it's not just a picture of boom, boom, boom. Oh, here it is, done, masterclass. Yeah, no, it's typical GW quality. Really good stuff. They do a thing on the Golden Demon, so they have, honest to God, model porn. Oh, those people. Oh.
Yeah.
But they also have a Blanchitsu section in there for this one, which I'm not normally into his style or that style.
Right.
But this one is really, it just kind of grabs you. If you're into the Blanchitsu stuff, you'll love this one. If you're kind of meh about it like I am, it's still really, the models that are in it are really cool.
Nice.
All in all, this May White Dwarf it got me back into going, the last couple of months have been just sort of weird, not great, but good.
Right.
Now they're right back on, hey guys, in your face.
Nice.
So,
That's good.
Yep.
So, in other news, we have Cubicle 7 has put up pre-orders for the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition.
Yeah.
So, right now you can order, they have a starter box, which is probably just going to be like basic rules, a couple of pre-made characters. I'm not sure exactly
the
what's
rules
in it.
aren't in the starter box. It's like everything you need around it.
Okay.
Dice and maps and some history lore books. I don't think the actual rules are in it.
And then it probably has like some quick start
rules or something.
Then they have the standard rule book that is coming out, and then the collector's edition, which looks fantastic.
Yeah, just a little.
So we're hoping that we can get those guys on in the next episode or two and do an interview about that game.
Talk about that one.
For all the people out there that kind of still have a soft spot for the old world, who played the old 1st and 2nd edition, because this is supposed to be very similar to what 1st and 2nd edition was. Not going to have too much from the 3rd edition.
Right.
that I know a lot of people did not like.
No, we played a campaign of that, and I mean, it was a great game, well supported, but the mechanics were horrifyingly bad.
Yeah, it had issues. I enjoyed it, but it definitely had some issues. You can go to their website and check that out. So there's also the Age of Sigmar Champions collectible card game that is getting some more hype. I believe they were on the Twitch stream talking about that. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm going to go back and watch it. When I started watching it, they were talking about something to do with 40K. Something was coming out. I can't. My mind is failing me at the moment. So I couldn't watch it at that time, but I want to go back and see it. And those are also people we're going to try and talk to you to have come on and talk about that.
Yep.
The Legends series kicked off.
Yes, it did.
So this is rules for the old, basically Warhammer Fantasy armies in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
So they started with the Dark Elves, and this is basically taking the 7th edition Dark Elf army book and converting it over to Warhammer Fantasy, or to Age of Sigmar, sorry, which is kind of what they did at the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I believe it has even more rules in it so that it's no more, well, no, I guess if the models don't exist, they don't have rules.
Right. Yeah.
Which is kind of what they did in the beginning.
In the compendium. Yeah.
So, but this is all updated.
Yeah.
And there are no points. This is specifically for narrative open play stuff. So you don't have to worry about the old Marathi interacting with the new Marathi, the old Malekith coming in, Malice Darkblade, all that stuff like that. Unless you want to do crazy open play.
Well, sure. Yeah. You can put together any mashup you want as long as, you're playing open or narrative and you agree.
Right.
So
but you don't have to worry about it at tournaments and things like that.
You're not going to face that.
Which is cool. Hopefully, I would not doubt it that somebody in the next week or two comes out with points for them. And then you're going to get this whole movement of people to be like, well, is this stuff going to be usable in your event? No, it's just not. Stop.
Especially when they say not for matched play.
Yeah.
Big letters.
So I don't know. I've seen mixed reactions to this. Some people kind of want this stuff to just go away.
Yeah.
We can just move on with Age of Sigmar. Some people are super happy about it. I'm kind of mixed, honestly. I think it's cool, but I think this is also just constantly throwing scraps to the people who don't want to commit to Age of Sigmar and come along,
for the ride.
And I don't really want to crap on those people too hard, but at a certain point, it's like, we're not playing Warhammer Fantasy anymore.
That's right.
Like, I'm sorry, but the world it was is past tense, man. It's gone. So either, play the game that you still enjoy, which is old 7th edition or 6th or whatever, or 8th. Sorry, there was that too.
Yeah.
Or play Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have to agree. I like the idea that people can have fun with their older models that, they're either looking at converting into something in the new AOS or maybe scrapping altogether. But, there's a lot of people that put a lot of time into those old models and they'd like to be able to get them on the table again. So here's an avenue. But what I don't want to see is, like you said, that controversy come up of, can I use this in? No, period. End of story. Not for matched play. But then, you flip around and in the pre-orders for today, they have Legends models that they're going to redo. I bought 2 of them.
Yeah, but it's a limited time.
Yeah, very limited time. I think it's only up for a week. You can get, I don't know the whole list, but I got Marathi on the horsey thing that she was on.
Yeah,
just because I thought that would be a neat model to have. So when you have Marathi Snake Woman, you can also have Marathi on foot that comes with that kit, and then maybe Marathi on horse just for visual impact, not for the game rules, just as a proxy model for.
So this is for the Daughters of Cain army.
Yeah, Daughters of Cain. I'm not getting ready to. All right. Yeah, I tipped my hand last time, so I think they're very cool.
Oh yeah,
you know. Of course, I also think that with the Idneth Deepkin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm such an idiot.
And you've done well.
I have.
Did not go crazy with the Daughters of Cain. You've not gone crazy with the Deepkin.
Oh.
I'm proud of you, Bill.
I have to finish the Nurgle stuff because it's going to Nova. It's going to Clan Carnage. I don't have time to be ADD right now.
Yeah.
So
I know how you feel. I got to get my death
Yeah,
going. So,
but yeah, and they also bought the Witch Hag on Cold One just because I love the look of that Cold One, and I'm like, well, that's going into my Seraphon army. That's going to be one of my replacement Cold Ones.
oh, nice.
So
Yeah,
probably hack that up to bits, but yeah,
nice. I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, I'm sure there's stuff we missed. One of the other two things that I wanted to cover in New Dawn was the latest May asset drop box hit. So I'll be doing a YouTube video unboxing that and showing it off here shortly. I don't want to unbox it right now because that would be about boring radio.
Yeah.
But also the Badger Metalsmith paints are out in the wild. I know I kind of briefly mentioned them a couple of shows ago that I thought it was going to change the way metals are painted. I still think that. I just got my set today. So stay tuned for a report on how those work.
What are you going to use those on since you're painting a bunch of fleshy Nurgle demons?
Well, I will probably test it on the Great Unclean One's sword.
Oh, okay.
The big sword, not the bile blade. Well, the bile blade too.
Yeah.
So I'll probably test it on those, but I do have a sizable contingent of Necrons that need love.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So, yeah.
Fair enough.
I see uses. So. Yeah, I'm dying to give that a try. It's a whole new way of approaching metallics. I'm really dying to see Vince Venturella do a show on them. I hope he does one. So, because he's the guy that, if anybody's going to unlock them, it'll be guys like him.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking forward to. So I think that's really it for New Dawn.
Yeah.
Boy, it was a weighty. Well, it's the first of, it's the beginning of May, so the new White Dwarf came out, so all the new hotness is there.
Yeah.
And still no sign of orcs.
No, it's gonna be a while.
I think so.
Oh, somebody did ask the question about orcs on the Facebook page.
Oh, yeah?
To which the community team replied that some armies take longer to put out.
Oh.
So, because they have to make sure model runs and things like that are ready to, that it all comes together.
Right.
So take that for what you will. Maybe new orc kits.
That would
Maybe.
be.
Probably not. Probably a bunch of garbage Space Wolf kits instead, but
I hope it's Primaris orcs.
I'm hoping it's a new Gazcol that's like the size of a...
It's got to be Guilliman or bigger.
I hope it's the size of a Dread Knight.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
so,
man, just a big-ass F-U orc in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, just Sons of the Emperor mean nothing.
Yeah. Oh, you're a Primarch. How cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Meat fungus. So.
Anyways.
I mean, you were pushing up daisies for how long?
Yeah.
Yeah, pal. So.
Good times.
Yep.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
So we have a little addendum that we want to add to the New Dawn section because it wasn't, loaded enough.
Top of mind, yeah.
Yeah, we forgot to cover the Warhammer 40K leggings that will be coming out from WoW Bangarang later this month. There is the Chaos Marine version, the Ultramarine version, and the Tyranid version.
Yay!
Thoughts, Bill?
I fully support the idea that these are available in both adult and children sizes. I'm at very rarely am I at a loss for words, and here I am lost for words. This is an amazing license that they did.
Yeah?
Yeah. Big
fan?
You could say that, sure.
So, yeah. Who gets to wear these?
I would imagine
there's going to be people. Oh, anybody could wear them.
Anybody. Well, I'm thinking what you're going to see is at LVO, Nova, Adepticon, London GT, perhaps even South Coast GT. You're going to see people who have lost certain wagers who are wearing these.
Yeah. So, I mean, the pictures that they're showing them off are great and everything because, they're on models. But do you really want to see something like this on a guy like me?
Huh? I would pay money to not have to have that in my image bank.
Well, let me paint you a little image. Because everybody really wants to see cottage cheese with peaches shoved into latex gloves waddling down the street. with the Ultramarine logo slapped on the side, right? Like,
again, though, there is that whole other thing that we're not looking at is there are ladies in the hobby
sure,
who can pull these off really well, and
but guys wear leggings too. I mean,
that's true.
I'm just saying,
Like
with great power comes great responsibility.
That is correct.
You know,
That is
there's no
correct.
ballroom in these things.
And I can foresee lots of lost dares. I mean, how many people did we see at LVO dressed up day one as, a female because they had lost a bet or they were, going for shock value or it was just fun.
The guy lost a bet.
He lost a bet. So, and you're going to see this, I'm sure. I am absolutely certain you're going to see this at
it's
any
gonna be
con
fantastic.
you go to. Yeah.
Do they make like a special cup that you can wear to keep things together?
I don't know. They should. Or you have to just apply your own duct tape.
Yeah. You have to do something. I mean, like, yeah.
There is no room for
nothing to the imagination.
No. But you're going to see it. I guarantee you're going to see it. Yeah.
Is this the opposite side of the pendulum for all the guys that can't pull up their pants?
Could be.
And sit down to play and, look like two hairy loaves of bread trying to make a break for it.
Wow. I'm looking at the Tyranid ones going, that's probably not what they intended when they gave the license out. I'm just saying.
Maybe it is, though, because one of the ladies was wearing them on the stream.
So, and again, there's lots of people who can pull it off.
Yeah.
So, won't be me. Shouldn't be you.
Yeah, because you wouldn't be able to pull them off once I got them on.
That's a good point. Yeah. They would
you
have
need
to
the
be
jaws of
surgically
life
removed.
God.
Another great licensing win for Citadel and Games Workshop. Okay.
Anyways.
Anyway, now we're done with New Dawn.
There you go.
The Realm of Creation.
Well, we're going to talk about all the hobby we didn't do, mostly because in the Realm of Battle, you'll find out that last weekend we took a trip up to Durango, Colorado, to hang out with Ryan Taylor in his garage and basically make sure his neighbors hate him for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Because, So, we both got very limited hobby. In fact, I don't think I did. I don't think I picked up a brush or a glue pot.
I got my Path to Glory stuff ready.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I primed it, so I'm ready to paint it, and we'll talk about that also at Randy Fest.
Yeah. But two things I did want to, and I mentioned this in the intro a little bit. I'm going to mention Asset Drop again. I know I seem like I'm hawking them. They're not a sponsor. Definitely look into it if you like the painting portion of the hobby. It's really amazing stuff. The last box, I was going to mention it during New Dawn, but I forgot. In the last box, they have the color changing paints, the ones that people are starting to use.
Oh, yeah.
And
that Steven wants to use for his Idnut Deepkin, yeah.
They have some pots of that in there and a how-to and how to get the effect and all that stuff, so I'm dying to try that. So, but the other thing that we have in creation has nothing to do with hobbies or models or anything like that. It ties back to our Tale of Four Warlords campaign that we did. We're doing a Path to Glory campaign, and we got the website for that thing off the ground. Now, it's pretty bare bones right now, but hopefully in the near future, we're going to have it fleshed out with some, hobby articles and articles from all the four players as to what they're thinking and what they're doing and how they're going to grow their war bands and what they're doing to make them cool. I know Andrew's working on some cool stuff for his Iron Jaws.
Yeah. So
you can find the Rolling Bad Tale of Four Warlords it's a regular website. I know, be shocked. It's not on Facebook. It's not on Squarespace. But it's Tale of Four Warlords, RB. So all one word, TALE of FOUR, warlordsrb.com. And that's the site where all the updates for our campaign are going to go. I have the map in there, the campaign map, and I have the results of the first turn in there. I'm going to put the rules we're using. I'm going to post those shortly once I do one last change. We're drafting the rules as we go along, so things are changing. But that's where you're going to see all the stuff for that. So if you're at all interested in narrative campaigns, and this is strictly narrative, even narrative rules apply to the games. So where we have nothing to do with match play in this. It's all narrative. Take a look at it if you want. It's just the campaign system. I'm trying to make the campaign system work for Path to Glory as well as skirmish or regular escalation, or you can just start out with 2,000 point AOS armies and go to town. So trying to make it as flexible as possible. So take a look. Let me know what you think.
Yeah, and we're actually doing this.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about doing kind of projects similar to this before, but this one we're actually assembling models, playing games. We've already done so.
Yes, we have.
This will happen.
We have stuff to talk about it. So
yeah,
that was our quickie creation stuff, because there'll be more next time when we play with all these new things that we have.
Yeah.
So, and we're going to do some hobby tonight. As a matter of fact, we will kick off into battle.
The Realm of Battle.
Where we're going to talk about our little trip up to Durango.
Yay!
To play in family-friendly Randy Fest. We'll call it Randy Fest.
It was Randy Fest, and it was peaceful and calm, and it was very enlivening and emboldening to everyone.
Sure.
We tried to empower everyone who was there.
Or, we just got drunk and had fun.
Okay, and
so
broke stuff on the house. And
yeah. So it was super awesome.
That's great.
We all kind of arrived. We all trickled in at different times, whether it was, I got up there Friday around noon and managed to go see Infinity War with Ryan before we started getting things set up. And then Randy and the
Denver
Colorado guys started showing up. You and Andrew came in.
Yeah, pretty much back to back. I almost followed him, which was weird.
And then some of the other guys showed up Saturday morning, which was cool. And we just played. I mean, it was just games.
Yeah.
Play as many games as you could. We thought about doing like a little mini tournament type thing, but decided no, let's
make it a free for all.
Yeah. Let's try to give Randy as much practice with his KO so he could try to figure out how to play that army. Didn't work out for him too well.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. I mean, the guy is kind of terrible. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, it was a tremendous amount of fun. We played, I think we were just playing mostly regular games. And then Chad and I, Santa Fe Midwest Chad, and I played our first game for our Path to Glory campaign. And he had originally said he was going to play Daughters of Cain.
Yes.
Which was really cool. I was excited to see them. And I was pretty confident that I would smash them because I'm playing the Skeleton Horde Start Collecting box.
Yep.
And he was, since there's not a Start Collecting box for Daughters of Cain, he picked up a Blood Coven box and was going to squeeze in another box of witches.
Right.
Which, not that we really care about points, but it looked about right to what everybody else.
Reasonable with everyone else.
Yeah.
So.
But even then, I was still pretty confident that at that small of a game, 5 Black Knights and Arcan would probably be able to take care of 20 witches in a Coven Throne or whatever. Or not a Coven Throne, I don't know, a Murder Blood Wagon, whatever they call them.
Yeah, pointy murder skull blood wagon thing.
And instead, right before we kicked off, he's like, I'm going to play Nurgle.
Yeah, I'm not ready for them yet.
Yeah. So. And I was like, great. Great. Nurgle.
Yeah.
And then we rolled for a mission and got Scorched Earth.
Oh.
Which is a fantastic mission to play when you have like 3 units.
Yeah.
I have 3 units. He has 4, so he's already up on me there. And then because we're playing narrative / open.
Contagion points.
Yeah, contagion points. And he started summoning units. And I was like, sweet.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, death doesn't summon like they used to.
No. They're different now.
Great. So he ended up taking it in the bottom of 5. We played all 5 rounds, and he just had more points than me because, again, he just had more units. Yeah. So he sat on his side of the board. I figured, well, I'll just go after him and try to kill his stuff and then burn his objectives.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't work.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get through plague bearers that fast. Well, I got tied up on the plague drones. I was like, that's the one unit that can actually do damage to me.
Yeah.
So, I got Arcan and 5 Black Knights into them, and took them off, and then just got bogged down in Plague Bearers, and then he started bringing in more Plague Bearers.
Once he brought in that other unit of 10,
Yeah.
it's hard.
And I was like, all right, well, at Curse of Gears, I cast it 4 times, rolled 40 dice, and got 2 6s and 1 5.
Oh.
So 3 mortal wounds from 4 castings of Curse of Gears.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
That sounds like the derp fest I was in.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, he ended up beating me, taking the first win of the Path to Glory.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Yep.
We'll see how we'll expand our armies going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But and then we killed Saturday night by trying to play a massive team game.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, it was a 4-way Triumph and Treachery
Oh, my
game.
gosh.
Each
I wish I
playing
hadn't
2,000
missed
points.
that.
Yeah, it's one of it's one of those things that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then you start playing it, and
And
it's
it-
like, oh, this is why people don't do this. So, but it was a lot of fun. Triumph and Treachery, the rules they have now really work, I
Yeah.
think, for Age of Sigmar. The problem that we were running into was because there was 8,000 points on the table, we expanded the table out to an 8x4 using the Realm of Battle tiles. Chad was kind of like just too far away in one of the corners, and then Ryan and Randall just pinched me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was getting walloped on by 2 armies.
Oh,
and
jeez.
yeah, it didn't work out too well for me. And one of the problems is every 5 wounds you do in a phase, you get a victory point.
Mm-hmm.
And Randall put a Maw Crusher, or Brian put a Maw Crusher into 40 skeletons that were on 4 graveyards with Arcannon and Necromancer behind him. So he'd smash like half the unit, and I'd bring it all back, and he'd smash half the
Smash
unit,
it
and he was
again.
just getting points
Yeah, he's
like
racking
crazy.
up
Yeah,
points.
so by the end of, I think, turn 2, he was at like 14 victory points. The rest of us were like 1 or 2. We're like, yeah, okay, I think we're done. You know, so but it was pretty cool. Yeah, and then we got up the next day and went and had brunch, I guess you
Yeah.
could call it, and took off.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. So
Yeah.
what'd you do while you were there?
Well, I drove up Friday, and then I had a really long day at work. I just proceeded to drink
Yeah.
Friday. Yeah, that's all I was interested in doing, was hanging around talking about AOS and drinking. So then, Saturday had these awesome breakfast burritos, which was probably a mistake to give a group of gamers breakfast burritos.
Oh, yeah. So my favorite part about it was, so there's a bunch of us sitting around the table eating these burritos, and I'll put him on blast. He deserves it. So we got a comment from Alexander Nygaard saying that he thought what was it? What's the last garbage Star Wars movie that just came out?
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi. Yeah.
Last Jedi.
He was saying The Last Jedi was better than Infinity War.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's at Darth Alec on Twitter, if you want to correct him on that.
Yeah. Give him
Anyways.
some alternate opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways. So, we were talking about that, and we all proceeded to start this like 2-hour rant about how The Last Jedi was a terrible movie.
And whether or not the gamut of opinion there was amazing. Oh my God.
The best part was we had just spent this whole time just tearing individual pieces of the movie apart. And I talk about how dumb it was that Luke got this like queasy feeling and tried to knife his nephew in his sleep, to which one of the guys who had sat there quiet the entire time turned around and said, well, I guess I don't need to see the movie now.
We had just spent hours talking, and we just ruined it for him.
Oh, that was
my
that was
God.
good.
Yeah,
That
we
was
did.
good.
We did so well. Should have started the whole day out with #spoiler alert. but
Yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic. Very funny.
But then the rest of my Saturday was, I've known Randy for a long time now. We've been friends for a while, and we have actually never played a game of AOS, which was strange.
Yeah.
So I kind of jumped in line to take on the Randinator. And so I took my, I was testing a list
Okay.
using the thrice fold befoulment, the 3 great unclean ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, Rodriguez. And
Radagast and
two buddies.
two Great Unclean Ones against his Caradhran overlords. So
yeah.
obviously you can imagine what that looked like, which at the very first turn of the game, he does all the Caradhran shenanigans.
Yeah, he was playing the Zilfin 1-drop.
Yeah, Zilfin
Gary
1-drop.
Percival
Yeah,
TM
clown card.
build. Yeah.
So, but he drops down, does a boatload of wounds to one of the Great Unclean Ones. And I was trying not to give away the fact that that was the warlord that he was hitting on.
So he has the Endless Gift.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And he was sitting there thinking, well, should I keep hammering him or should I, do some more damage on another one, try to get them both down? And then you had to open your freaking mouth and say, well, you really should probably just kill that one.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Yeah.
Why couldn't you just shut up and let him go after another one? Because, he used the grapnels to get right up on him and just absolutely murdered him. And so the general of my army, the guy with all the cool abilities and the hinge pin for all the other stuff, died on turn 1.
Yeah.
Which I actually thought was going to put me way back, not realizing that, number 1, every time he was doing these wounds to me, I was doing them right back. So every 6 save was taking out 1 or 2 of his, or the groups of saves were taking out his guys. So long story short, he wipes that guy out, but he now has his engine riggers, I guess they are, back behind my lines where it's pretty easy for me to mop them up.
Yep.
And from then on, it was just a question of me advancing slowly across the board with a Great Unclean One, a Rodriguez, just picking and choosing what to kill. And it just got, the momentum of it just got to him. So I actually won a game, which is odd. So, because that doesn't usually happen.
You're sitting pretty good with Nurgle right now.
Yeah, I enjoy playing them because they're a straightforward army. There's tricks, but there's not it's not Zinch where you have to know every nuance of positioning. You can just kind of march across the board and do a Beast Claw thing.
Yeah.
So, I'm enjoying them. I don't think I'm going to do the thrice full befoulment for my Clan Carnage. It was a good list, but it didn't leave me with enough options for other units. That 3-man unit as well as the 160-point battalion, that takes up a lot of points. It doesn't leave you a lot left over for the stuff you need to take objectives and what have you. So
exactly.
I think I'll go back to the list that I have been playing, the one I played with you with the Rodriguez and the Great Unclean One and the units of 30 Plague Bearers, unit of 30 Plague Bearers, and then the Blight Kings.
They're really good.
Yeah. So, but it was fun. I mean, the highlight of this game was the fact that it was a complete and total derp fest. Neither one of us could roll worth a damn. We played 4 full turns, so I had 4 hero phases to use magic. So I had the ability to cast, since my warlord died turn 1, I had the ability to cast 12 spells. I got 2 of them off during the entire game. I got 2 spells off, one of which was a Mystic Shield on turn 1 because I didn't have anything else to do. Nobody was in range. So yeah, it was like, wow.
That's tough.
It was horrible, but, the strength of the army was not so much in the spells as it was.
Yeah.
Just the resilience. So, but it was a super fun game. I mean, we had a blast. It was really enjoyable. Fun to play Randy because he was having just as derpy a game as I was.
I think all his games were like that.
He couldn't roll to save his life in that game, and I couldn't roll to save my life. So it was pretty even.
Like he went like 0-4.
Yeah, he was rolling terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was. He needed to throw those dice away.
Yeah, we were sitting there trying to, talk tactics and stuff, and I said, well, number 1, throw the GW dice away.
Yeah,
they look cool, but I can tell you from experience, they roll.
Yeah,
they roll pretty rough.
I actually went after I got back. I ordered a bag of 100 dice from Koplau, one of the other dice companies.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I love Chessex dice and I love my Games Workshop dice, but they're for marking wounds and stuff. I'm not saying the Chessex dice, but it seems like the GW dice just always fail.
Yeah.
Always. So I got 100 assorted colors coming in. Nice right angle square dice. So I'll see how those go.
Cool.
Try those in a game or 2.
Yeah, because over the weekend, Ryan and Andrew wanted to play my Iron Jaws.
Oh, yeah.
I said, fine, you can play my Iron Jaws, but you have to use my Orc dice. So, Yeah, it was funny watching them fail as well.
Yeah. Well, and it was heartening too. Now you know it's not you. It's
Yeah, well,
the
to a
death.
degree.
Well, okay, partially.
It was a lot of fun.
It's great. We had what, 8 people
Yeah.
up in Durango in Ryan's garage. Thank you, Ryan and Megan, for opening up your house to us.
Yeah.
So, also want to throw a shout out to Ryan because unknown to most of us, he went out to Hammerhead Games and he ordered up special movement, the 3-inch movement thingies, whatever you call them. Combat gauges. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
All done up for Randy Fest 2018. So
Yeah,
everybody
it was really
got a
cool.
little cool rememberer.
A little memento.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was awesome of Ryan.
So, yeah, he might not hear this. He's in the land of Scott now.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Strange. Do they actually have internet in Scotland?
Yeah, I think they have, I don't know.
They
I want to make some horrible
I
joke
know.
about sticking an antenna in a sheep to get reception.
Yes, we just alienated another 4 people.
Yeah.
So we're down to what, 8 listeners now? Damn it.
We'll see. We'll get the rest.
Yeah, we'll get them. We'll get them with our comedy.
Yeah. When we refer to, what was it, the one that Dan did, Dan Heelan, where he referred to Northern Ireland as like all the same. They're all the same.
Yeah.
I forget what it was,
Yeah.
but yeah, I got a little hate mail for that.
Just a little. Just a little.
Wah, wah.
We're capable of that.
Yeah.
All right, shall we move on to lore?
Yeah.
All right.
The realm of lore.
Where, as we said in the intro, we're going to kind of talk about rumors, hopes, dreams, thoughts about what is commonly being referred to as AOS 2.0, might end up just being AOS after General's Handbook 2018. We don't have any knowledge and take everything we say with a truckload of salt.
Yeah.
Because none of this, but we're just going to hash out some of the major things that we've heard talked about and have kind of hashed about ourselves and thought maybe this would be a good idea to go forward with. So is there anything you want to hit on first, or?
Yeah. So I think currently Age of Sigmar is at a really good place. I think any issues with the game don't necessarily stem from core mechanical issues.
No.
I think they're just certain armies that aren't necessarily in balance
Right.
with where everything else is. But I think that is being corrected, as we've seen in these last few books that have come out, that the playtesting and everything is a lot tighter. I think you can see it, also in 40K. All the books seem to be at a certain power level because they've all been playtested together and everything. So,
with 1 or 2 exceptions, everything seems to be level.
yeah.
Still don't want to be Grey Knights.
Sure. So, I don't want to turn this into like a rant about Tzeentch. Yeah, I think overall AOS is in a pretty good place. So I would not expect to see too many major changes.
And I would hope not, because changing the core mechanics is going to have so many changes down the line.
Yeah.
That you don't want to see it. You don't want to see what could happen.
Yeah. And there's, I'm wondering with the Idoneth Deepkin, because they have an ability as part of their tide that during one of the turns of the game, every one of their units that's in combat gets to fight first.
Right.
Do they have to charge or do they just get to fight first? I can't remember that off the top
I think
of my
it's
head.
just they fight first in that combat round.
Let's fact check ourselves here.
Oh, we're going to actually look something up.
Yeah, because I don't want to
put it out there in the middle of
misinformation here.
Oh.
Stand by. So with the Idoneth Deepkin, they have one of the title abilities, the High Tide, is all of their units get to fight first.
Yeah, that's on turn 3.
Yeah.
Which, if you think about the normal flow of the game, turn 1 is getting into it. Turn 2 is setting up the charges. Turn 3 is really when you're in a lot of fights.
Their tide system is set up perfectly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would want to use that guy that if you make him your general, you can flip it.
Yeah.
That would be turn 2 that you would do that.
Right.
Maybe if you have like a crazy Alpha Strike type.
And there could be different play styles that would
Yeah.
plug
It's
into that.
cool to have the option.
Right.
But anyways, this is something very similar to 40K, where in 40K, everybody who charges gets to fight first.
Right.
You can use command points to interrupt that.
Yeah.
And I think there might be some units that are artifacts and weird little things that pop up here and there that interact with that as well. But
and the Drukhari have this battle, they have the same sort of rule for their thing where they get to go first in combat. So you see some similarities.
yeah. So, but there's no command points in Age of Sigmar.
Right.
Yet. That would get crazy. Anyways, so I'm wondering if the Deepkin are kind of a way of testing what it would be like for all charging units to go first.
Mhm.
That would be pretty massive in Age of Sigmar.
It's such a huge fundamental change to the game. And I've seen everything. Heck, I was talking to Ryan this weekend about, what if it was only like a D3 units that got to go first on the charge? But even still, you would be able to game that a lot. A savvy player would game it. If you went first on the charge, you would see a lot of the more assaulty, hitty armies. First of all, destruction would get a huge bump because Iron Jaws, Beast Claw, the armies that rely on charging and have this sort of almost built-in mechanic that says I can run and charge, those armies would go through the roof in power.
So I don't
through
know,
the roof.
Deepkin and Daughters of Cain.
And Beast
they
Claw
can run and
Raiders
charge?
and Iron Jaws. So they would all see a huge, and the game would get really super swingy. And I think that's a change that it's more like a baseball bat than a subtle change to the mechanics.
Yeah, it would be interesting, but I know some people complain about shooting being too big in Age of Sigmar.
Right.
I really think that just stems from one army and really just one list. That's not
a couple of
as
them.
big of a bugaboo as people make it out to be.
If you face a Stormcast shooty list or a Sylvaneth shooty list,
Well, I mean, Sylvaneth are dead and gone. I mean, unless, and they may get revitalized with some point changes, etc., like that. And yeah, you can make a heinous shooting Stormcast army, but I don't think it has the numbers to protect itself from fast combat armies.
Right.
Really, the culprit is the Clown Car KO list, because if it fires on all cylinders, the damage output is so great that it doesn't need to have staying power and etc., because you're so crippled as an opponent.
Right.
And that creates a bad feeling.
Yeah.
I think it's not a terribly fun game to play either as the KO or against them in that instance. But I think rather than make core changes to the game to try to influence that, why not just change the KO book?
Sure.
Or
the attendant Zinch, the Skyfires, and
I mean,
nerf their range a little bit, maybe
something, or maybe make terrain a little more effective.
Yeah.
So that if you're shooting through, if you got a range 36-inch bow and you shoot through 33 inches of trees to hit something,
maybe you shouldn't hit right away.
Yeah. Maybe that. And if neither you, or if the thing you're shooting at is not, the base isn't wholly within the trees, there's no modifier whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a little goofy. So maybe some terrain rules.
Some much more inclusive terrain rules would be a huge welcome change.
Yeah.
So that you actually could not just get the benefit of cover if you're everyone is within I know it was written for simplicity's sake to fit in the 4 pages, but really it's 4 pages, tell you what, get rid of the stupid victory conditions that are always never followed and put in terrain rules that make some sense. Like each terrain feature that you shoot through is +1 or -1.
Something, I know area terrain caused problems before and everything, but I don't know, the idea that you have this tree thing out there and there's effectively only 3 trees in the whole thing. I mean, it makes it a little goofy.
Wonky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think some changes to terrain could definitely change the game, and it wouldn't require like a universal nerf. I mean, that would be like a universal nerf
Sure.
to heavy shooting armies potentially. But I don't know if it would be too bad.
But is it that bad of a thing? Because right now, when you face, like you said, the clown car or, the super shooty armies or the super magic-y armies that just blast you off the table, are those really fun games? Or is it just something you feel like you have to get through at a tournament? I have to be able to get through the change hosts. Otherwise, I can't really make it to the top.
Yeah.
If that's your thought process going into it, if you're thinking about one set of things, then is it really a balanced, fun game? Or is it just...
Yeah, well, and another thing about the terrain is, like, it feels like terrain is a big part of the game, but not in the way it should be.
Right.
To me, like, because really people are just trying to benefit off of one of the 6 special rules that's attached to it. So, like, you're trying to get mystical to work for you or
right.
damned or something. So you put down these really cool looking pieces of scenery to create, like, this story, this visual. But you might as well just be putting, like, salt shakers on the table because I want to be within 3 inches of this salt shaker so that I can use damned.
It doesn't matter that
you're interacting with the terrain, and it is a part of the game. But, like, there's nothing interesting or unique about said pieces of terrain. The most interesting piece is a Balewind Vortex.
Yeah.
Or the new stuff that's coming out that's army specific. So like the Gloomtide Shipwreck or the Feculent Gnarlmaw, stuff like that.
But still, you have this huge imposing tree that does nothing to people shooting through it.
Yeah. Other than just blocks line of sight potentially to like one little dude.
One guy.
Yeah.
But it has no real effect.
Yeah. So. It's like an area of effect for the Nurgle stuff around it. Yeah. It's more of the same. I don't know necessarily how you would change that. The flip side to that is like back in 8th edition, where we just had like pages of terrain rules and it was very convoluted. I don't want to do that either.
If you just use the volumetric terrain stuff that's always worked before in miniatures games, you don't have to worry so much about it. The terrain is as wide as the terrain piece is, it's as deep as the terrain piece is, and it's as high as the piece is. So if you go through any of that area, you're affected.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And it does lack a little bit of the true line of sight realism stuff. Okay, sure, you can see using true line of sight. However, you are affected by the terrain. It's not a perfect system, but there is no perfect system until we get to VR helmets and laser line of sight. But then
it's coming.
We're not playing miniatures anymore. We're playing virtual reality stuff.
So I know that spun off from the original question of like charging units going first and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That would be something that I'd have to. I would want to play it using like my Iron Jaws, which focus heavily on, or pretty much solely on combat,
right?
And then try it with some other armies that are a little more mixed and see if that actually brings a benefit to it. I don't know.
And see, these are all things that need so much play testing.
Yeah.
And situational play testing. You have to set up different situations. You're not actually playing a game. You're play testing a rule. So you're setting up things to see how they come out. And, there's a big difference between play testing and playing through games. When you're play testing, sometimes you simply set up certain situations and you don't care about how they might have gotten there. You just see how this combat works out, or how does this shooting work out? And you'd have to do that over and over. And, you'd really need the resources of GW to pull something like that off with their playtest teams.
That's kind of what we do for when we're preparing for a major event.
Right.
You don't just sit there and play regular games.
Yeah.
You stress test your lists. And so you just set up like theoretical situations to see how things work and whatnot.
It's a version of Math Hammer, and you have to see it in play. Sometimes you want to see if this combo works. If this guy's within range, does that bonus really matter, or can I do without it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting back to the 2.0, there's some talk out there that shooting in and out of combat should be changed.
Yeah, coming into AOS from 8th edition, when we saw that was it was pretty shocking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I almost feel like what we should be talking about is just shooting in general,
right?
And how if there should be changes made to that. That was one of the big changes in 8th edition 40K, was that if your model has a pistol, it can shoot at a unit that's within 2 inches of it. So
Right.
basically, you can shoot another unit that it's in combat with,
Yeah.
which is really cool. A lot of people forget about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, but being able to have like this massive combat that's like 40 grots on 40 skeletons, and then the grots can just fire a bolt thrower into there and just hit skeletons.
Only skeletons.
Yeah, it does seem a little crazy. Or the fact that I could have, 30 Glade Guard fighting, I don't know, a bunch of Varen Guard, and then they all stop to take a shot across the table
Sure.
at Archeon. It's kind of like,
Really?
yeah, shouldn't you kind of be fighting for your lives desperately against the 12-foot tall
Against a
knight?
far superior foe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. Maybe we just gave up on that and said, "Oh, let's just kill the boss."
Yeah, let's get our
You
once.
know,
We got our once per game minus 3 Ren shot, boys. Make it count before you die.
it does harken back to that. Is it cinematic versus are we going for cinematics or are we going for a reasonably realistic playable game? And
Well, I think you keep it with the cinematic. That's the cool thing about Age of Sigmar, and the shift from like 6th to 7th to 8th
Mhm.
was always explained. Like we're trying to create a more cinematic game, a game that looks good on the table. And Age
Right.
of Sigmar definitely does that well, and I don't want to lose that for the
Yep.
sake of realism in a game where we have 30-foot tall demons casting spells.
Yeah.
That let's remember perspective here.
Mhm.
But from a mechanical standpoint, is it too much? I think that's probably what we should be asking is
Yeah.
like, is it too much to have the ability to shoot freely in and out of combat with no consequence?
Right.
Or what you could do is say, okay, well, you roll your shots and then every roll of a 1 hits your own guy.
Hits a guy.
Sounds great.
But
Is that going to slow the game down? If you're
Yes.
playing against a Cun and Ruck that's already rolling an insane amount of dice.
and that's the thing is if you build in anything like, your misses you have to roll to hit your own guys, you're just adding so much time into it that the already slow play problem we have just compounds.
Yeah. It's one
And
thing
like
when
you
it's
said-
like 10 Arcanaut Company.
Sure. That's different.
Firing. Like, okay,
That's
here's
easy.
like 3 1s, roll them real quick. Boom, I killed a guy. Damn, fine.
120 shots from a Cun and Rock.
Yeah.
That's when
gonna
we
get
bogged
rough.
down. Yeah.
So,
Or still even, what was it the other day? You were doing 75 or no, you were doing 75 attacks with your skeletons.
yeah.
So,
that
that wasn't bows. But I mean, still, we have those massive numbers of shots. Free guild archers.
Right.
You're just,
But if I'm playing those skeletons against a Cun and Ruck, I'm already taking a while to roll all the dice
That's
for my
right.
combats. They were already going to take a while to roll all their dice for shooting. And now
Mhm.
we're just going to add more to that
some more
for the sake of trying to potentially balance out
Yep.
this perceived issue.
Whereas we could just say, you don't shoot in or out of combat, period. If you're in combat, you don't shoot. And if they're in combat, you can't target them. And that becomes very, very simple. Super simple.
Maybe a middle ground of you can only shoot units that you're in combat with.
Or something like
So
that,
you're
sure.
within 3 inches, you
Yeah.
know. Maybe that's the middle ground.
And I mean, they're going to know best about how to do it. But I truly, this is one of my pet peeves about the game. I don't play shooty armies and I very rarely play against them. I just don't think it is cinematic to have a group of guys drop out of combat for a moment, load their bows up, shoot somebody, and then pick up their swords and shields and go, okay, I'm back with you now. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah.
I think, it's one of my pet peeves about this game is shooting in and out of combat. I hate it.
Whereas conversely, though, you have things like the Arcanaut Company. Great example. They're running around with a sword in one hand and a pistol in the other.
And
Why wouldn't they be able to?
see, and that's where you can have a special role for those units that are specifically trained and say they can shoot in and out of combat.
Or just shoot
out
what
of
they're in
combat.
combat with.
Sure. Or something like
I think that's probably the best.
that. Mm-hmm.
Middle ground is you can only shoot it. You
Shoot
can only
the
use
unit you're in combat
range-
with.
yeah.
Whereas, certain units that are designed with that in mind can shoot out of a combat.
Yeah. And then you could reintroduce some of the older rules for armies like Skaven. It used to have the ability to, even back in 8th edition, where
Mhm.
they could shoot into combat, but they could wound their own stuff.
Right.
But they don't care about that.
But they don't care.
Right. So, fine, Scryer can shoot into combat, but on rolls of 1s or whatever,
Sure.
you kill your own dudes.
You can have flavorful rules around that
Yeah.
restriction
Yeah.
that bring out more of what those armies do, which you can't do now,
Right.
you know?
Because Stormcast would not likely shoot into a combat where their own guys are fighting.
Right.
But Skaven would.
Sure.
So yeah, that would be maybe some potential changes for.
Yeah, it's one I hope that they address. It might be a pipe dream, but it's something I hope they look at.
So another one is character protection. So since characters can't join units anymore, so in 40K you can't target a character that's under 10 wounds unless it's the closest model to you,
Right.
to the unit that's shooting. And this has been talked about in AOS quite a bit.
Yeah.
What could you do to do something like that? Because right now you have this huge sprawling, you could have these great big sprawling combats, 100 zombies, skeletons fighting against, all these free guild guys. And then the cannon in the back shoots a vampire clear across the table.
Yeah.
Dead on.
Pinpoint
There's no
accuracy.
protection. Yeah, it seems a little powerful.
wonky.
So what could you do to modify that situation, I guess? Maybe give that vampire some protection. Do you make it like 40K where you can't target him? Models under X amount of wounds can't be targeted unless they're the closest. Now, there's another one that the Idanet Deepkin are kind of testing because
Yes.
against the Deepkin, you have to target the closest,
The closest unit. Yeah.
So you're going to see, I've already seen just some ridiculous stuff from Deepkin players.
Oh, yeah.
Just abusing the ever-loving crap out of this stuff. This is potentially a great way that you could have the greater community playtest something similar, get some feedback on how it's working out,
Sure.
and decide whether or not it's just too powerful.
See, and I'm not a big proponent of, in 40K I am. I like the character rules there only because the characters are so important to how a lot of those things work. Even though all the characters are just the same importance in this game, but we've always played it where they're killable. Maybe you give them a cover bonus if you're shooting through a unit, so that if you do bubble wrap, Sloppity Bilepiper, if you do bubble wrap the Gaunt Summoner, then they get maybe just a +1 to their save or something. I don't know how you fix it, and I don't pretend to be a game designer, but I think there should be a little more protection offered to characters, but not you're immune, because now you're going to find people bubble wrapping, and you're going to get into that whole 40K. I bubble wrap this with this, and you can't get through it. So now I have my Death Star, and we get into that whole, oh my God, just think about it. A necromancer with the Dance Macabre surrounded by 2 units of 30 zombies is going to be, he's going to be a Death Star. If you made it to where you couldn't target him.
Yeah, well, he already has some built-in protection.
Sure, he can slough off wounds.
I think one of the big differences, though, in comparing 40K to AOS in this instance is characters in 40K don't tend to do as much. They usually just have like a little 6-inch bubble where you get to reroll ones to hit or something like that. Whereas in Age of Sigmar, they can have command abilities that affect the whole army. They can have battle traits that affect the whole army. They can just have natural abilities that do that as well. Yeah. So if you're going to make them easier to protect, you're going to have to take that into account. Like, is it going to imbalance the game if
it's huge?
I can just never get to your Lord Celestin on foot or on Dracoth because he's only 8 wounds, you know.
Well, if you did 10 wounds, what if you did something like 6 wounds, or if you did it by base size? A character that's surrounded by...
Age of Sigmar bases don't matter.
Oh, that's right. You forget. Okay, so my square-based necromancer is now a thing again. So
I'll be putting the gash on a 20 mil.
There's enough room, I tell you.
Yeah.
And he's now protected by those 6 skeletons.
Exactly.
So, there's numerous ways. If you did it by either base size or you did it by... not the 10 wounds, because you don't want to see, Archeon being protected by a weird rule. But, and some of them, they put themselves out there. I think the Celestin Prime has 8 wounds, but he's a combat guy. He needs to be mixing it up. His whole thing is those 2 hammers that, make mincemeat out of stuff. So he's going to be mixing it up. You're not worried about that. What you're worried about is that weird spellcaster who's used to hang back, and you you could potentially range him or be out of his range. Now, if you get to bubble wrap him with stuff, you are fundamentally changing how armies play.
Maybe like a Gaunt Summoner on a Balewind Vortex surrounded by horrors.
That's not a bad thing, is it? Oh, yes. No, wait. That is a bad thing. Sure.
He's just, I mean, he was already difficult enough to deal with beforehand for
Well, he's susceptible to mortal wounds, though.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know what you would do to change, to make characters more survivable without just making it bananas.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
because even if you say like 6 wounds or less, a lot of the Stormcast characters are already there.
Right.
So if you say, okay, well, if a model with the hero keyword has 6 wounds or less, and it's not the closest model to you, add 1 to their save.
Something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you take like a Lord Celestant, already has a 3-up.
Mm-hmm.
Take Staunch Defender, he has a 2-up. He gets slapped with a Lantern, he has a 1-up.
Yeah.
He's not the closest model to you, he's a 0.
Yeah.
And then you cast Mystic Shield on him, he's -1.
Okay.
So like you're just never going to kill that character.
So which means for thinking about targeting him, you take a wound. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the flip side is you say like, well, my Goblin Shaman has 4 wounds and he has a 6-up save. It'd be cool if I could maybe give him Mystic Shield and then park him behind these 60 other goblins.
Yeah.
Give him a little bit of protection.
Right.
So he goes to a 4-up. That's not insane to ask.
Insane.
Right. But you're also going to have to try to balance that against.
But yeah, it's very hard to make a general rule that will cover every instance. And this is something that's been brought up. I don't think it's needed. I really don't, because the combat heroes are combat heroes and they get into combat.
Yeah.
The spell heroes usually hang back and they perform the roles they're supposed to perform. The necromancer does not run up into combat. He stands behind a whole bunch of skeletons.
Yeah.
And you have to get, like you say, he has the built-in mechanic. He sloughs off wounds. So maybe they need just, if you have the hero keyword, you get lookout sirs. So.
Yeah, maybe. On a 5-up or something.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't pretend to know. But there's a community out there that thinks characters need to be
protected
a little bit more protected.
I think they have a valid opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Because like I said, yeah, there's some characters are out there that are incredibly tough, but there's also, like I said, goblin shamans and elf wizards and stuff like that that are. But the flip side to that is my character is really easy to kill. But you spent that turn shooting at him to kill him, and now my Phoenix is across the table in your face, buffed up because I got a spell off.
Yeah. So everything trades off.
Yeah.
I don't really think it needs to be addressed personally, but I do know that there's a group that thinks, and it's very valid for the armies you play.
Okay.
Kind of next up, there's discussion out there, there's thoughts out there that the result of the Battle Shock roll should perhaps change from models removed to mortal wounds applied.
Ooh.
Now, if you want
that is going to get knee-jerk reactions.
If you want to get me fired up, talk about this one at length.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do it.
Well, because as far as I'm concerned, Battle Shock is a reflection of how you respond to getting your face beat in.
Right.
Repeatedly. And I think it works perfectly the way it is. It's a very devastating thing when you lose a 4-wound model to a Battle Shock test. But that's a part of the brittleness of your army. Right. Now, I'm a Seraphon guy who loves to lower your bravery to the point to where, you got 10 brutes coming? Yeah. Well, I don't care if you roll a 1. You're still losing 6 of them because your bravery is -3. I think if you change it to mortal wounds, you change the basic fundamental thought about combat in the game. And I think it's a bad. But I can't tell you how many tournament packs, especially at the beginning of the game, that I see that make that rule change that says, now, I mean, it's pretty much fallen out of favor, but there was a lot of tournament packs that said, the result of Battle Shock wounds, Battle Shock rolls are mortal wounds, not models removed.
I've played both sides of this. I played. I'm currently playing Death, where you get to sit at a nice, comfy base 10
Yeah.
on everything,
Oh, yeah.
and then it just goes up from there. But for a long time, I was playing Iron Jaws, brute heavy Iron Jaws, and at Bravery 6 on 3 wound guys that are pretty expensive.
Yeah. And you're almost guaranteed to lose one or two to battle shock.
Yeah, well, every time you lose one guy, you could lose
rolling.
another.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's pretty rough. But switching it to mortal wounds probably isn't going to save them anyways, because it's such a small army. It's already fragile as it is. So losing one less.
Well, the people who are proponents of it say that if you're rolling battle shock for like skeletons, 1 wound models, this changes nothing.
Except they would get their 6-up death save.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Against a mortal wound, which would just make them even more resilient against the test that they're already pretty resilient against.
Yeah, and would that work with Nurgle too?
Yeah.
Getting the Nurgle
Daughters
save?
Arcane.
Yeah.
All these armies that got built-in saves.
Or maybe you just make it to where they can't take that save in the battle shock phase.
So it's just saves that you get no.
It's fleeing, not. Well, again, that you'd have to rework that section of the rules. But what they're saying is when you do have like the Morghast and you have the Brutes and you have the multi-wound, very expensive models that have low bravery, is it fair that, or I don't want to say fair, but their point is to lose 2 models to a single roll of the die when you only did 1 damage to me. You only did 4 points of damage, you kill 1 guy, and then the other 3 run away? That's crap. And I understand their point. That's very disheartening when it happens. But I think it's one of those things you have to take into account when you charge into that unit of whatever.
Yeah.
That you are a brittle army. You're not.
I think it's more like, for Iron Jaws specifically, I think that's just more of an indictment of brutes, just not having a bravery that reflects
the fact that they're
gigantic orcs that don't run from anything.
Right.
Yeah, having a bravery 6 is a little dumb. But there are other things out there that do suffer from really low bravery, and inspiring presence can only go so far.
And I wonder if they didn't use bravery at the beginning of the development of the game as a balancing measure, because when they looked at how tough brutes were, they thought to themselves, well, we have to give them an Achilles heel. We have to give them something that keeps you from just using them willy-nilly. So they made them low bravery when that really wasn't the answer, because down the road, their natural enemies were going to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Like anybody with a bow who's going to keep them at arm's length is their enemy. And now everyone has that bow except them.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if, like, at the beginning of the game, we had Death at Bravery 10, Seraphon at Bravery 10. Sure, these are things that don't care about dying. They just simply don't care because they don't exist anyway.
Demons,
yeah. I'll just come back tomorrow. So, whereas, some of the braveries you see on some of these other units, I mean, even the Beastclaw Raiders, like you say, these big, tough, meaty, beefy, in your face. I don't run from anything, except this die roll. I run from that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mouse.
But again, though, this touches on what you were saying earlier, that people think of bravery tests, failing bravery tests as models running away.
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, like, well, why would my Stormcast ever run away?
No.
But it's not. It's more of an abstract thing of like, these are guys
falling
that
back
ran
to
away.
Regroup and
either fell back, just died from being overwhelmed, just incapacitated in general.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So you also have to kind of take that into account. So I think bravery is okay where it is now.
I think it needs to be addressed on a unit by unit level.
Yeah.
And, those units that are supposed to be really good in combat, to me, the most terrifying thing in the world would be a Ironjaw Brute with an increased bravery. But why not give the War Chanter a spell that increases bravery by 2 across the board? Give them something to hope for, or maybe if they had a banner or something. I don't know. Like, again, goes back to game design. I don't know exactly how you fix it, but brutes with 6 bravery, really?
How about,
so 1 loss forces a die roll?
How about they increase their bravery by 1 for every model they kill in combat.
Ooh, I love it. That's awesome.
So yeah, they go bananas when they run into 40 skeletons or something and kill a bunch. They pretty much aren't going to run away, but if they go
They have
against
15 bravery now.
something
That's what they
like,
did in 40K.
Yeah, if they go up against something that's, small and elite and really tough, and they manage to bring like 1 or 2 down, but they take a few losses in return, then yeah, it's still kind of shaky.
Evens out.
Like, oh yeah, these guys are just as big and nasty as we are,
Right.
so let's think about it. Whereas, oh, I charged into these puny ass humans or elves or whatever. I'm just going to slaughter them.
Through the
Bob died. Run! Everybody run! Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
So
yeah, I mean, there's lots of great fixes out there, but I do think unit by unit morale has to be looked at. I don't think anything needs to change for Battle Shock.
Yeah,
this is something I'm adamant against.
I think it's good where it's at.
Yep.
So another one that I've talked about before is magic. I like where magic's at in the game. I like the idea of the wizards having their own like individual spell.
Yeah.
And now army books are getting a pool of spells to also pick from.
Yeah, I think that's really...
Yeah, so it makes the characters interesting and unique, but also gives you a toolbox to work with.
Yeah.
So, but as I've said before, it would be interesting to see if there was some kind of risk to the reward of casting spells. So some kind of arcane feedback like we used to have. Nothing like insane where half your army explodes and gets sucked into the war.
Not that stuff.
But, maybe take some wounds if you rolled snake eyes or just something like that. I think that would go a long way because magic didn't start off so strong when AOS dropped and all you had was the spells your wizards had.
Yeah,
some wizards were up there, because their individual spell was really strong.
Yeah.
And then everybody just had Mystic Shield, Arcane Bolt, and then your spell. The magic phase wasn't too crazy. It was usually like, especially once they came out and said you can't spam the same spell over and over. The rule of 1.
Huge change.
Yeah, so you couldn't just take 10 wizards and throw Mystic Shield on all your stuff.
And then Arcane Bolt, everybody did death.
Right.
So
it wasn't as big of a deal. You kind of, throw a Mystic Shield on this and then pick off some wounds here and there, whatever. Maybe if you had a buff, you would drop that. But now it's gotten to a point where, like, for some armies, magic is really, really strong.
Oh, yeah.
Like Tzeentch, Death, stuff like that. Nurgle.
Nurgle has some
really
amazing
good
spells.
And there's just no catch to it. You just get them.
Yeah, there's no downside.
And it's so hard to stop magic. You got to be within 18 inches or 27 if you take Tzeentch with like a specific thing. And even then, 27 inches isn't too far. It means you got to have potentially your chicken kind of up close doing stuff.
Or exposing your, weaker spellcasters to a lot of combat that they probably don't want.
Yeah, so stopping magic is pretty rough. So, yeah, just having something that when you're rolling the dice to cast spells in the back of your head says, well, do I really want to cast this spell? I mean, look at like Phoenixes.
Yeah.
You just spam spells next to them. Even if you don't need the spell, you just do it anyway so you can tool them up and charge them in. But now, what if it was like, well, do I really want an additional save to cast this spell? Because I can't really afford... This wizard only has like 2 wounds left. Yeah. If I roll like Snake Eyes, he could take D3 mortal wounds and pop.
See,
it's... I don't know.
I had already toyed around in my head with the idea that Snake Eyes should be like, you said a D3 mortal wounds. Any doubles should be, even if you're successful, should be a mortal wound. It went off, but boy, did it hurt.
So everybody would be like... a weird knob shaman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, that portion of it makes you think twice about the spells that you're throwing out. And think about it, when you're using the Lord of Change, I get this spell that does X amount of damage off, and it costs me 1 point. It's worth it. It's a good trade. And I don't really think about it until I'm down a lot. With my Nurgle with Rotigus, I have 16 wounds to play with. Hell, I'm using my Bile Blade to pick off wounds of my guy just so I can make sure I cast my spells. Which incidentally didn't work up in Durango. But I mean, you have to have that. I think there has to be a trade-off because magic has gotten so powerful. When you're looking at spells that can burn down a unit, an entire unit, with the only thing that can go wrong is it doesn't go off.
Yeah. And now, and then you throw like Balewind Vortex in there. on top of that, it gives
Sure.
you an additional one. It's
I can make sure it goes off.
yeah,
So.
it's. I don't want to see Magic get nerfed, but
No.
it would be nice to see a little risk added to that enormous reward.
And I would hate to see them come out with spell lists or something like that that just fundamentally changed how everybody played. I like the personalized spells
Yeah.
that everybody has right now. I think that works really well, and it gives each one of the casters a little bit of flavor. You know you want to take a Necromancer and a Death Army because of the Dance Macabre.
Yeah.
So the other guy...
and he gets an additional death spell.
Sure.
So it's just a toolbox. He's a
Exactly.
cheap,
He
efficient
adds
toolbox.
to your... And you know when you're playing against death, you have to look out for where that Necromancer is because that guy makes zombies. Darn him. You know? So, yeah, don't change it. It's good the way it is, but maybe add a little, little penalty to Magic.
Then the other big one we wanted to touch on very quickly is the first turn roll off / priority roll.
Yay.
Don't get rid of the priority roll.
No.
I think just please don't get
No.
rid of the priority roll. The only thing I would say is whoever deploys first gets +1
That's right.
to the roll.
That's right. Instead of automatic,
Yeah.
just give him +1
Boom.
and
Sorted.
then make that it's a fundamental part of the game. And if you take it away, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't fall to the whiners of the world.
Very loud minority.
Yeah.
Small minority.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're not going to continue
Not going
on
to
that
beat
one.
that one. We've already done that one.
One of the things that this was a question brought up from one of our patrons, Hayden Ford. He wanted. I'll read his question specifically.
Yeah,
to
read
give
it
it
out.
as,
That's the best way to
give
do
it
it.
the most context here. But it's about effectively soup armies. Like mixed order, mixed chaos, stuff like
Right.
that.
And if you stay together with GW stuff, you know that soup prevention is one of the big bugaboos that just came out in the big FAQ for 40K. They kind of nerfed the soup armies and they kind of didn't at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, it's something I think we need to address.
So he asks, do you guys believe that mixed order allegiance or any mix offers a little too much versus going straight one army? I've heard a lot about the mixed order Phoenix builds, rocking tabletop or top table games and tournaments, which leads me to wonder whether there should be some kind of a sacrifice when taking a mixed team versus pure, i.e. no allegiance ability. I haven't played too many matched games or gone to a tournament, but it just feels disheartening when I put hours into painting an army like Seraphon and have this nice cohesiveness between all the units, then to watch a Frostfire Phoenix with wizards and some skinks rock the table, and apparently that's top tier. P.S. The reroll Battle Shock Allegiance really isn't too bad either. So some people will probably say, well, there's already a sacrifice
Right.
because generally speaking, the generic command traits and artifacts and stuff like that aren't nearly as good as army specific ones.
Right.
Right now the big culprit is the mixed order.
Mm-hmm.
Mixing Phoenixes in with some high-powered spellcasters, some great shooting, and some efficient objective holders like skinks is really, really strong. Now, is that an issue of being able to mix, or is that more of an issue of that Phoenixes are just really good and
Really
kind of
good.
flew under the radar for so long until
Until somebody
people
cracked that code.
Yeah. I guess the issue is are you really just going to move the goalposts?
Right.
Right. And then people will just find the next thing to exploit, which is probably always going to happen.
Yeah. It's
So what do you do? Because I don't think you want to discourage people from bringing mixed lists, right? Bring what you want to play, bring what's going to be fun, but you also don't want it to be bonkers.
right.
And make somebody who Hayden is saying where he has a Seraphon army and he just potentially feels outclassed because somebody went through this massive tome of
Mm-hmm.
everything with keyword order and just cherry picked all the best stuff out of it in a way that synergizes better than individual armies synergize with themselves.
Right.
So what do you do to kind of tackle that and not discourage it, but bring it into balance?
No, I say
the thing.
discourage it.
Yeah, really?
There's nothing I hate more than seeing a soup army, a cherry-picked army that has this from Stormcast and the Celestial Huracanum and then this and then this and then this. And I mean, they've come out and they've nerfed little bits of it. Like the Huracanum now can't do anything but free guild, so they've addressed tiny parts of it.
Oh, no, it still affects everything.
Oh, does
the
it still affect all
Huracanum's
order?
still money.
Oh, I thought they nerfed it to just free guild.
No.
Okay. I was wrong.
So
To me, it makes me sick when I see that because I understand it's a way to play the game and it's a way to get, and they won't change it because of the money that's involved. If I can sell you this army as well as these two models,
I don't
golden.
know. I don't think it's the money. I think that's more of like a jaded old guard. I think their approach is I don't want to deny you the ability to play what you want to play. We can talk about how like mixed order is a kind of an issue and how it might look funny to have some of these weird mixes. But what about chaos? Chaos throughout the stories always mixes together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Archeon has the ability to make Nurgle and Slaanesh play nice together and make Tzeentch and Khorne and stuff play nice together. So why wouldn't he be able to play effectively a mixed list? That's a very narrative driven army. So as Games Workshop, they're not going to want to deny you the ability to bring that. So, and I don't think you should be denied that. I just think it should be approached in a way that brings it, has a little more balance. And I don't know if you can, honestly, because if you look at just order alone, there's hundreds of war scrolls.
Yeah.
And so to go through each one, I guess what you could do is you could stop having stuff affect keyword order.
Mm-hmm.
And it just affects the keyword for the faction that it's in. So like the Huracanum only affects Free Guild. So if you want to get more bang for your buck, you bring more Free Guild. And then maybe you sprinkle in some Stormcast. And that visually would look fine, right? That's what they do in the story.
I'd be all over that if they did that. And if you look at what they did with 40K, they did exactly that. There's two sets of keywords now. And that governs how you build and what affects what in your army. So granted, they had to address the soup stuff a little differently because it didn't come off the exact way they meant it to. But they took the first step towards fixing that issue by having those affinity keywords and then the unit keywords. Mm-hmm. What it comes down to is, you're right. Make it to where faction stuff only affects faction, not friendly.
Yeah.
So the Huracanum will do all its stuff for the Free Guild folks, but there's no Stormcast, there's nobody else in the world. And that Phoenix will only get buffed up by, what's his name? Phoenix Temple,
where there's no wizards?
Yeah, exactly. Wham!
So wham! There you go. No more Phoenixes on the table.
Well, you got to figure they're looking at these. You got to know they're looking at that Phoenix army and going, we got to do something about that because it is ripping through and people are figuring it out. The thing that saves that army is it's an all or nothing army. You either go out there and win or you go out there and you get your butt handed to you.
Maybe make them one of the next elf factions.
Oh.
Like the Deep Kin and the Daughters of Cain.
Sure.
You get the Phoenix temples of some other dead elf god. And
so many.
And you could add some other models. So you could give them their own wizard.
Right.
One that casts a spell or two. So the Phoenix still gets a
little
bit of mileage, but isn't quite as ridiculous as it is now.
But getting back to soup prevention, I hate soup armies with a passion. When I see them, I look at somebody who's just got whack tattooed onto their forehead. You're playing the game not to have fun, not to enjoy it, not to make a good play experience for everybody involved. You're playing it to win because I picked this stuff because it will kick your So
yeah, but we've talked about that before, where when you go to a tournament, you know that that's what's expected. So don't go to LVO or ACON and be like, well, your army doesn't make a lot of narrative sense.
I'm totally not saying this you're right. When you go to a tournament, you bring the thing that wins, and that's why you're there.
Right.
I'm saying for the generic average game.
Oh, well, then have that conversation with your opponent.
Well,
I mean, you're talking like
when you don't get to have that, when you're doing the pickup game at a store or something,
Oh.
You don't always get to have that.
Yeah, potentially. But there could still be room for soup-ish armies through individual books and their battalions. Like you look at the Daughters of Cain have a formation that is daughters with Stormcast. The Ideneth have one that's them and Sylvaneth. You know,
you look at so many of them have crosses between factions, and it's narrative. It's there. It's how it was written in the books. So you don't want to stomp any of that stuff out. There has to be something done that prevents people from cherry picking, perhaps even in matched play environments, where I think we're going to start seeing it a little bit more in Death, because there is just so much stuff that works well together in Death. I don't think we've seen even the beginning of the Death soup armies.
Yeah, but they're not soup armies. It's all Legions of Nagash.
Well, it's true. See, they folded everything under one umbrella.
Yeah.
So is that
almost everything?
Is that an indication of where they're going?
I don't know.
So
I don't know.
I kind of agree with Mr. Ford, thinking that it is disheartening to see that when you rock up to a table.
I think the extremes of it are a bit much. But I don't necessarily want to discourage people from bringing a list that they might enjoy.
Sure.
I don't know.
But explain to me how the Celestial Hurricanum gets together with the Stormcast Bowman, and then the Night Venator imagines up some skinks. Wait, no, that's not his. But somehow he did. You know, if you're telling me that you want to make a game that's cinematic, and then you say, oh, but we're going to throw cinema out the window when you're doing your army.
Yeah, but there's actual lizardmen now.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Nuh-uh.
Fake news?
Fake news.
Fake news.
And you're right. In match play, I don't think really anything needs to be done. If you're playing at those levels where those combinations matter to you and they occur to you, then you're playing at that level and you probably deserve to be there at those top tables. So go for it.
That's also stuff that can either be adjusted through like points, maybe. You know, like we'll probably see a points increase for the Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
And just, again, changing things like the Hurricanum only affects Free Guild, stuff like that. I mean, because we've already seen a lot of that stuff. It used to be a Warrior Priest affected Order stuff. Now he only affects Devoted to Sigmar. Never see those guys anymore. But Free Guild is still a pretty popular army, and they're really good, especially with the boost they got in the General's Handbook 2017.
Yeah, they're really good.
Oh, you know what? We keep saying that, but it's not a Free Guild. Sorry. It's Collegiate Arcanum.
Oh, that's right. You're right. We keep saying Free Guild.
Yeah.
Oh, we're dumb.
So it would affect like nothing. And that is the problem with creating 6,000 different little stupid factions that they did. I don't know why they did all that.
Well, you know, we're kind of seeing it with Nagash. They are rolling things back.
Yeah, so maybe...
Now that Death is all under one umbrella, it's
under
two umbrellas, Flesh Eaters, but they are different. Flesh Eaters are alive. Death is dead. Yep. So, but...
What is dead cannot die, or whatever, that stupid saying. What is blue cannot be red.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe what instead we'll see that could help fix it is like down the road we just see a book that incorporates all kinds of human factions, and they call it, I don't know,
Men of the World.
Yeah, or, you know, Mortals of Sigmar, or something like that incorporates like Free Guild, Collegiate, the artillery one,
and see,
Ironweld Arsenal.
I really think they're trying to fix the soup stuff, but they're trying to do it gradually and intelligently through, like you said, through releases of faction books and tying the lines together. I think in a year or two we'll probably see this problem completely gone.
Yeah. Well, you can definitely see it with Chaos. These books are just like everything with Nurgle, pack it into one book.
Right.
And then it all plays nice with each other, doesn't necessarily play nice with anything else.
Doesn't play well with anything
all
else.
thing with Khorne.
Tzeentch is all together.
Stuff
Khorne
like that.
is all together. So, yeah, I truly believe that we're going to see this soup stuff. And the only reason we're seeing it right now is because we're in that interregnum period between lots of books, but still compendium, waiting for this, waiting for that.
Well, and Order and Destruction are the two that still have so much of the old Warhammer Fantasy stuff that hasn't been rolled into something new like Chaos did, or like Legions of Nagash just did. So, and you don't see it so much with Destruction because as a whole, that Allegiance or Grand Alliance just doesn't
Doesn't
hold up.
exist.
But there's so much stuff in Order that you can still do that with.
Yeah, so I mean, you're not going to see that problem with a lot of different, with some of the other Grand Alliances, because A, it's been fixed, or B, it's not really an issue. Like you said, Chaos has it all figured out already. And I'm sure Order will get there soon enough. And we're just in that weird period between all of it being figured out and where we are now with Compendium. I mean, again, probably should outlaw Compendium stuff. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, in GW has to find this fine balance of like updating that older stuff and then doing stuff like KO and Idnet Deepkin, which are just whole new launches of lines. So
we're still talking about a limited number of people.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And they're dealing with the monstrosity that is 40K as well as, The Hobbit, as well as there's rumors now that they're going to take 30K, the Horus Heresy from Forge World, and Forge World will just do back basically to doing what they were doing before until they got so successful with the Horus Heresy. So they're spinning a lot of plates, and we're just going to have to be patient. But
honestly, I mean, even with our entire talk so far about the rumored AOS 2.0, I think we have to come back to the point you said at the beginning. It's not broken. It's not.
No, it's a really good game.
I mean, the rules are solid and tight. And yes, there is always, this interaction of this particular thing with that. Yeah, there's always going to be that. But by and large, games are super playable. You don't see 6 hands raised at once at every, 12
I can tell you from personal experience of helping run the 2 biggest tournaments in the U.S. I mean, the number of times that people ask
questions,
rules questions, and that you can't answer.
Right.
It's just like, well, no, it says this, so do this. Right. And even then, it's very rare that it comes up. So obviously, the game is working well. So now I know there's all kinds of other little things that pop up that people love to point out, but overall, they rarely ever actually come up in the game.
And all the things we talked about, most of this list came from scouring other places, other boards, and most of them were, certain places are concerned about shooting.
Yeah.
Other communities are concerned about battle shock. And it depends on what army you play. As a whole, you don't see a public outcry from the community going, we have to change the movement phase or else.
Yeah.
You just don't see that because I don't honestly think we have an issue, or at least not a bad one.
No.
I mean, and that's the danger you make when you make a change to the core mechanic. It ripples through everything, and you could ruin your game with a simple thing like, we're just going to change Battle Shock to Mortal Wounds and be done with it. Instead of all this argument. We're just going to do that.
Yeah.
Well, you've now made so much heartbreak for so many other. You want to be real careful when you swing the Nerf ball bat, which is something that GW's been really bad at before.
Yeah.
And they've gotten way better over the last 5 years or so. I mean, you see some pretty big nerfs now and then, but usually it's for pretty big problems.
Yeah.
Or things they just did not foresee being a thing, being an issue.
So what happens when you're in touch with the community and paying attention?
Exactly. You don't have to. So really, I mean, ultimately, what do you think AOS 2.0, General's Handbook 2018, what do you really think it needs to address? What does it need to be?
Just kind of like a recap. I think, like I said, a little bit of a risk sprinkled in on the magic phase. I think the roll-off for first turn is a big one. Terrain needs to be a little more
comprehensive terrain rules.
Yeah, God, I can't quite think of the word I want to use because I don't want to say like more interactive because you do already interact with it in your games. It's just maybe more meaningful, more individualized or something. Something like that. Yeah, and then, I mean, the rest of it is just kind of understood stuff. Like, there's going to be some points adjustments to try to deal with, some of the stuff that's becoming issues or stuff that's just not seen. I would imagine maybe we'll see kind of like they did in the last one where armies that aren't going to get books anytime soon will get touched on again. That might be kind of nice. Yeah, I don't know. There's not a lot. I think that needs to change.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. We're talking about a GW game, and we're like, man, there's not a lot to change. Don't fix it.
Yeah.
It's strange because there's usually like these two camps that are completely opposite to each other.
Yeah.
You have the tournament guys, you have the whack guys, you have the pure narrative Nancys, and they're usually so at odds. And yet here with really these latest two games that they've come out with, honestly, you see both communities kind of going, yeah, I get that.
Well,
there's a good solid set of rules, and then the changes for matched play, for tournament type play.
The system that they have in place now, where they can once a year drop a new book that adjusts points.
Yeah.
Fixes so much.
I know.
Because it used to be if a book dropped and it had something that was absolutely ridiculous in it, it likely wasn't going to get fixed for years.
6 years,
and it was going to be an issue
that
whole time until maybe they caught on to it. And so they released a book that corrected that. But that created, we have a roach problem. So we'll import these frogs that eat roaches. Now we have a frog problem. So we'll import these snakes that eat the frogs. And it's now we have a snake problem.
Exactly.
That's kind of how the old codex system used to work. And now because we have the ability every year and they could even jump in on one of the major FAQ things every 6 months and say, oh, okay, this needs to be fixed.
Well, look at what they did with the 40K FAQ. I mean, they fixed a lot of issues with very small word changes.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about
small.
Like point values.
Well, and they
could just be like, okay, we're not going to wait all the way until the next book drops. This one slipped under the radar.
Dark
this
Reapers
is the new point.
Are not a thing.
Yeah.
So you can just go ahead and sell them back to eBay now. Cause...
But I think with the points, the thing where they can adjust that every year is the biggest thing. Just making it a living game, is what keeps it.
And being open
flowing.
To the feedback is huge. And I mean, it's just the openness to be able to discuss these sorts of things with GW, not just amongst ourselves and go, well, it would be really cool if they did that. No, you can put this all into an email, send it to GW, and they'll send back a cogent response,
Yeah.
So I know I have talked to some GW employees about some of these items on this list because I wanted to get where they were thinking, and I also kind of wanted to get a scoop. But, they're too smart for that stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
But, I mean, I think on the whole, to fix AOS, kind of leave it alone with a couple like the tweaks we talked about. Terrain, first turn roll off.
Yeah, magic.
Just a little bit of penalty for magic. And I know I said, we need to stop all soup armies, but like I said, take everything we said with a grain of salt. It was just, some of it was for fun. But I mean, there are just a couple of things.
Yeah.
The one drop army mentality, I think, has been ruling list design for far too long.
Yeah.
And it's, Karaudran Overlords would play a lot differently if your decision at the beginning of the game was not 1 drop or 2 drop. Because that's the only way to play the game.
Not going to
we won't go
derail into another 20-minute rant about what's wrong with KO.
Well, dude, I can tell you what's wrong with KO.
Yeah.
One build. But again, that'll probably get handled. So, have we beat up AOS 2.0 enough?
Yeah. I think that's how we feel about it at the moment. Definitely hyped for it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because they haven't done anything wrong yet. I mean, nothing they've done so far has been like, you broke it.
Yeah.
So I'm jazzed. Looking forward to it. So Hayden, I hope we gave you kind of an answer. I know we rambled a little bit there about it, but hey.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. And now is the time on Sprockets, wenn we dance. Well, no. Now is the time on Rolling Bad when we give away books.
Giveaway books for the I Read AOS giveaway. So, again,
cool like that.
If you want to be a part of it, you got to hop on the old Twitters and use the hashtag I Read AOS or like a post with it or retweet it, whatever. Doesn't really matter. If you are not on the Twitterverse, you can hit us up on Facebook, email, whatever. We'll throw you in the mix as well.
Yes, we will, because we're like that.
We are currently sitting at 78 entries. Shall we?
Mm-hmm.
The winner is...
Drum roll, wait. Insert drum roll, Bill. When
Right
you
here.
edit, insert the drum roll right here, stupid.
You're not going to edit that, are
I'm
you?
not gonna- No, I probably won't edit it out, but I also won't add the drum roll.
Nice. So the winner is at Junk Oi Joy,
Wow.
otherwise known as Psyker Scum.
No, nice.
Yeah.
Psyker scum. I like that name. That's cool.
So, yeah, we'll be sending you a message at some point, let you know you've won an Age of Sigmar book. So,
That's right.
congratulations.
Awesome. Well done. And again, the whole thing here is just designed to get people to start getting into the lore of the AOS world and let these authors know that A, we're reading them, and let Black Library know that we're consuming the stuff because it's really good and we need a heck of a lot more of it. And the only way they'll produce it is if we tell them with pounds, that we like this stuff.
Voting with our money.
That's correct. So are we done?
We have... there we go. Okay. Yes, we're done.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about this crap anymore.
Okay. I hate AOS.
Yep.
I'm going back to Ninth Age or Kings of War or something.
Kings of Ninth Age.
Kings of Ninth Age is my new game.
Wars of Kings.
Wars of Mantic Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be fun?
Oh, it'll be lit, fam.
Oh, God. Yeah. So on that note, bye.
Bye.
If you would like to get a hold of us, you can reach us at our email address, which is rollingbadpodcast@gmail.com. We have a Twitter account for the podcast, and it is @rolling_bad. We also have a Facebook page, so just search Facebook for Rolling Bad. We have a Patreon page, and that is at www.patreon.com/rollingbadpodcast, all one word. You can reach us at our individual Twitter accounts. Elric is at Elric Edge, and I am at Bill Costello, Castello. All of our guest hosts and any other products or places that we mentioned during the show will have their addresses listed in the show notes.